back in.
We're going to have sound now, guys, but we're going to redo the whole show.
Yeah. I'm your host, one of your hosts, Stephen, John McLaughlin, and our other host sitting here is John.
Do you want me to do the
Walsh.
intro?
No, we'll just crack on, John. It's fine, it's okay. There's nothing we can do about it.
You want to check it's
We'll
working?
put a little timestamp in there. Yeah. So there we go. Let's see. We'll play and then we'll get back in and we'll do it all again. There we go.
It's working. It's working. It's working.
In the words of Anakin Skywalker from the Phantom
Are you an
Menace.
angel?
Yeah. So what we'll do is we'll just do a quick recap, John,
Yeah.
in terms of where we're at. We're talking about Ian McKellen, folks, confirms Gandalf's return in the new Lord of the Ring movies, following the original trilogy and the Hobbit prequels. More films are on the horizon. We can look forward to the anime War of the Rohirrim later this year, alongside 2 live-action films, The Hunt for Gollum, working title, and another yet-to-be-named project. In a recent interview with The Big Issue, Ian McKellen confirmed that Gandalf will appear in at least one of these upcoming films. However, it's still uncertain if McKellen himself will reprise the role. Yeah, we were just saying there, John, very silently, that I did ask the question, do you think that perhaps this is time to recast? Because it's a very difficult thing for any actor to come into when you're so used to the one actor playing the role for so many years. We saw it with Hugh Jackman, obviously with Wolverine. Still can't see anyone who I think fits the bill.
Tony Stark.
I just can't see it, Yeah, exactly. And this isn't any different, and I did say just before, obviously, we realised the sound we were having issues was that I didn't realise that there was another yet-to-be-named project. I thought it was just one film.
Yeah, and I'm just, first and foremost, stunned at The Big Issue are getting exclusives with Ian McKellen. When did that happen? Big Issue, I recall back in the day, spoke about, people who had drug addictions getting on the road to redemption and whatnot. Kind of sold 2 for £1 outside of some nondescript retailer in Buchanan Galleries.
CINE.
Yeah, something like that. Just now they're getting exclusives with Sir Ian McKellen. What? Not knocking it. They've brought us this exclusive. We are now talking about it. So, I mean, we've just got to. It's like a human centipede, but for news, it just passes it down to. We are not at the back. I'm sure someone will jump on this and talk about it on another channel.
Yeah,
but
you're saying we're not at the back, and then you're mentioning the human centipede.
Yeah, we're not
I don't want to be at the back of the human centipede. No. I don't want to be at the front, and I don't want to be in the middle.
We're in the middle. So you've had it. But I digress. Let's get out. God. But anyway, away from the human centipede and very much into the Middle Earth and Tolkien's wondrous Middle Earth and Gollum and Andy Serkis and Peter Jackson producing. I'm always concerned when directors of renowned franchises step aside and step into a producer role because it's like, just how hands-on are you? Are you overseeing it on the set, guiding the sort of production, helping Andy Serkis? I was about to say a sort of fresh-faced Andy Serkis in terms of directing. I don't know what I'm doing there. You can make it go that way, you can make it go this way. A bit weird what I'm doing that. But he's not that fresh-faced. He's been around the block numerous times now. He worked as a second unit director on The Hobbit with Peter Jackson back in the day. So he knows what he's doing behind the camera, directing in the director's chair. And he knows what he's doing in a mocap suit playing Gollum, no less. So maybe my concerns, I've just spoke myself out of the concerns. But certainly this story, I don't think will be connected, the 2 films. First I've been made aware of this. This has apparently been common news for months and months now. Seem to have missed the fact that there is new Lord of the Rings movies happening. But it's an interesting story, Stephen. If I remember correctly, I'd never a big reader of the appendices in the Lord of the Rings. I very much stick to the story, maybe mind some important information, and then back to the main story. It's not a Frank Herbert novel where you have to fucking read the appendices to actually know what's going on. And most of this story, the Hunt for Gollum story, is actually based in the appendices. But we get brief looks at it, don't we, in the film and in the actual novel, where they discuss the journey of the ring to Bilbo.
Yeah.
Him procuring the ring in the Hobbit story. But obviously Gollum's knowledge of being done out of a riddle, cheated if you like in his mind by a Hobbit, and the dangers that brings to the Shire. That's what leads Gandalf and Aragorn, Strider, to go off in the hunt for sort of Gollum.
Strider,
reverse engineering. So it's a fascinating story. I've been off on a tangent, Stephen. I think you probably asked me, should they recast? I think that was maybe originally. I don't know if you asked me again. I've just lost the plot talking about human centipedes and explaining the fucking story of the hunt for Gollum that people probably already know. That's 5 minutes of my life gone. It was probably unnecessary, but I think it necessitates this story continuity.
Yeah.
If it's the same universe, Peter Jackson's involved, Andy Serkis is involved, then you require Ian McKellen and you require Viggo Mortensen. So you're going to have to get that script fucking bang on. It's going to have to be special to entice Viggo Mortensen back and indeed Ian McKellen back.
Well, this is the thing, John, and I think most people who are fans of Lord of the Rings will know, obviously, that Gandalf has to play a part in some fashion. But I suppose that the question is Ian McKellen, whether or not he will return. I would like to see it. If it's a one and done film, it's, as you said, it's not a commitment. It's not going to be a master plan over 3 films, committing himself to the next 7 years or so or whatever. If it's a one film and it serves the purpose and it's connected tissue to the original Lord of the Rings trilogy, with those actors, Viggo Mortensen, I want to see back. De-age him if you've got to, which you'll have to, and he's do younger, the same with obviously with Gandalf. And I think I thought they did a really good job with Gandalf in the Hobbit prequels as well. 10-year gap between that trilogy and the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and I mean, I don't think there's glaring obvious issues with his look. I mean, I don't think they did any de-aging with him. They tried it with Legolas, Orlando Bloom, and he looked weird. He just looked so porcelain, it was not real. So I'm glad they didn't really do too much with Gandalf, and it served the purpose of the story as well. It was a massive part of that story as well. And it's similar to what we talked about a few months ago, John, with Peter Cushing's likeness on Rogue One. Use it when you have to use it, but don't overstay your welcome with it, especially with the technology being limited. And certainly back then in The Hobbit,
I think it's improved.
It's improved now, but talking about obviously The Hobbit, it wasn't there at the time. It wasn't enough, and we saw the kind of faults and the flaws in Orlando Bloom's character at that point. It kind of was a bit jarring, wasn't it?
I think the key with that technology, Stephen, is maybe limiting the appearance of the actors and the character to darker settings
and lighting,
because you can get away with murder if it's a darker scene. The sort of nature of this story may see them being in the dark a lot, I'd imagine, if they're looking afar for Gollum and tracking him to Mordor where he's being tortured. Going to be sort of a lot of ducking and diving involved. I don't know everything about this story. I've read a lot of Tolkien's works. I think everything, really, including his autobiography, funnily enough. But I don't know if I can remember everything about this story, but certainly he does get captured. He does get tortured, and he lets it slip, the information, and that's why the Nazgûl start hunting down also the Shire, try to get the ring. That will probably just try to find this guy and getting in and about. It may necessitate darker scenes, so you may get away with de-aging him drastically throughout the entire film. But I think the nature of Gandalf is he's always been fucking prehistoric. He's always ancient. He just looks old all the time. So they could probably just do the 5 odds. I mean, Ian McKellen's looked like that for about 40 years now. So you could just put him in as is and just, well, it is what it is. He's older. Just use your imagination. He's younger, but he's older. Same with Viggo Mortensen. Why waste money when people are really only here for the story and the acting, the performances? You'll forget about what you're looking at after 5 minutes.
Hayden Christensen, they didn't bother de-aging him for
exactly.
those flashback scenes. I thought it worked well.
It's all about the story. If you overburden yourself trying to make everything perfect visually, you're forgetting about the most important aspect of this story, which is story. And you're not getting better foundational sort of content than what you'll get in a Tolkien book. The man is so detailed in how he tells story, how he tells characters, describes scenes, describes everything. You've got the best source material on earth for making this kind of film.
John, am I right in saying this story that we're talking about, obviously with Gollum, is being touched on in the movies, like to an extent, but not in great detail? I'm right saying that, Anna?
Yeah, I think it just gives an opportunity, Stephen, for Andy Serkis to showcase the story of Gollum again. I mean, but again, we've seen Smeagol and the backstory of how he killed his friend and happened upon this fucking ring, and it took him in this descent into madness, into the Misty Mountains, I think it was. What was the name of that mountain? Was it Misty Mountains? I think it was. I can't remember. It's been that long since I've read The Lord of the Rings. I used to read them every year. Now I've stopped it. need to get back to being like Christopher Lee, guys, reading the novels all the time. But it was like the Forth Road Bridge or Rail Bridge. It was just repainting it, and it's a continual thing. You'd finish reading it, and you inevitably have to start reading it again. It's like, right, that's enough.
And then puts you in the mood to watch them.
It does, yeah. I've not watched the films in such a long time.
Yeah.
I've still not seen the extended cuts ever.
Yeah.
I need to
gave
get
you
round to watching. Yeah, I know. I never watched them. I'm a lazy bastard, Steve. Keep telling you, I'm the only movie critic that never watches any films.
Yeah, you have to really.
I
You
really
have
do.
to open a window to
Watch those.
to watch because they are a long
Yeah.
watch.
Yeah.
I think it's maybe 5 hours per film or something like that.
That's
maybe
crazy.
maybe not
Wow.
as long as that. Maybe 4. Long though.
Did
It's
you,
long.
well, I mean, you haven't seen them, Steve. Did they touch more into or upon
It's been a
Gollum's
while,
story?
John. Yeah, it's
And
been a
those
while.
extended cuts?
I can't remember. I don't think so. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe someone can correct me, but I can't remember. It's been a good 10, 15 years since I saw those extended cuts. I got them one Christmas and I watched them once. That was enough, you know.
Yeah.
But I do go back when they're on TV. I still watch them.
Yeah.
You know, I can pick up obviously where I am an hour into the film or whatever, and I just go, I'm going to watch this. I love them. But I think the last time I watched them was when I had COVID. And I was hallucinating. I've not went back. I'm very much like you, John, with the cups.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
If
Scarred
something's
you, yeah.
connected to something
It's
bad.
when I got my telly,
yeah,
my TV. That's when I last watched. I think it was the Two Towers or something like that. It was on.
I love
It was
the Two Towers. Yeah,
Helm's
Love it.
Deep stuff where obviously comes in to save the day, Gandalf.
I
That's
know.
the last
I know
part
that
watched.
Return of the King seems to be everyone's favourite, but there's something
Two
about the Two
Towers,
Towers.
yeah.
I mean, I just love that middle part of the story.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
It's
It's
just when
Saruman, the
everything
rise
starts.
of Saruman,
Yeah.
he turns, and you've got the Uruk-hai, and you've got
Well,
Battle of Helm's
One
Deep.
thing I do recall, John, from
The
Return
roaring.
of the King is Christopher Lee's role in it. He's in it.
Yeah.
You know, I know he wasn't in the theatrical cut, and I know he fell out with Peter Jackson over this and didn't talk to him for a long time until obviously perhaps maybe they were doing the Hobbit stuff. But I'm glad he was in there, and I don't understand the reason for it. I don't know if it was pacing issues or whatever, but I was glad to see his part in that final chapter of the story because he was such a massive character and still pivotal in Return of the King to an extent as well, which was surprising. But I mean, it's artistic choices, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, the character, it was just to show that even the most sort of wise of characters who are quite high up in the sort of celestial scale in this universe. I can't remember the exact name of them. There's a name, it begins with an M, I'm sure. Maya. I think that's what they're called, Radagast and Gandalf, the sort of wizard folk. They're like Maya.
It's weird, isn't it?
To
Because
show they're corruptible as well.
am I right in saying, John, you're the sort of encyclopedia here when it comes to Lord of the Rings, but in terms of the other wizards, they had to rename them for the films because they didn't have the rights to showcase them in the films. I'm right. They renamed them to an extent. I think.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that
Because
they only had.
Radagast wasn't even in it, wasn't it? No.
Well, I think Radagast was played by Sylvester McCoy.
Yeah, he was in The Hobbit.
Yeah,
I'm
and
sure.
obviously Christopher Lee's character in
Saruman, yeah.
Ian McKellen's character as well. But I'm sure they did briefly mention that I think they called them. I can't remember what they called them.
I
but
mean, obviously,
they
the
didn't call
Tolkien-
them by their proper name before.
Yeah, the Tolkien estate are notoriously difficult. They want to protect the legacy of John Ronald Reuel, obviously, and his son, when he was alive and kicking, was very protective, and they'd do anything if they felt the legacy and the story wasn't being done correctly. They would put as many roadblocks in the way as possible, and look, you keep got to respect that. It's like the Beatles with their music, to an extent, very protective of how their songs are used, and that's a good thing because you've seen other bands getting their songs used in all manner of shite, and it just demeans it. If you've just got Lord of
That's
the
like
Rings
Donald
getting
Trump
put
gets
out,
his hand
oh
in
god, I know, the
music.
Foo Fighters.
Yeah, everybody's banning
Now,
him.
now they're suing him and they're going to put the damages into Kamal's sort of campaign. That's interesting. Fair play, Dave. I like a man with conviction. What if you don't agree with the politics of someone, and I'm not going to talk about politics in this show, quite within your rights to say I didn't give you a right to use that music. You're
You're
not
right,
fucking
John.
using it.
There is I get, you know, obviously the family and the estate can be very protective over certain properties and stuff like that, with good reason, I suppose. But in that case, I don't know. It didn't make sense. I'm sure there's someone out there that could maybe clear that up for us. What the reason for that was?
What was the studio again that made the Lord of the Rings?
New Line Cinema.
New Line, I
was
thought it was New Line. Yeah. Well, I mean, they bought the
Yeah.
rights, so they've had it. They've got the rights to the Lord of the Rings story, appendices and all. So they own all of the sort of copyright to also adapt into a screenplay or into a TV show, so they're screwed. They don't have much say. Anything within the
yeah.
confines of the original book they own,
I'm glad
and I
to
presume
see
The Hobbit as well.
Peter Jackson's involved again in his production company
Yeah.
again with Wingnut, isn't it?
Yeah, we said that, Stephen. I mean, I says it to you. Sorry, I'm
No,
talking
no.
over you again, but
No, this
Yeah.
is what I wanted to talk
Yeah.
about anyway, John.
yeah, I mean, I just don't think anything that's got no control, creative control from Peter Jackson, be it producer, director, writer, anything involving the Lord of the Rings should happen now.
I thought it was weird though. I thought the Ring of Power series should have involved him in some way, and I
Yeah.
think he did on record say he was never asked. It was. I think it's a weird thing not to do.
Yeah.
Someone with that knowledge, someone with that experience and success with that franchise, not to be involved in some way. I get
Yeah.
people want to make their own mark
Yeah.
on certain things and certain projects, etc. But even as coming in as a consultant to say, what do you think? Would you do this? Would you do that? Would you think about introducing this character in at this stage? Just just have someone there as an advisor.
Well, I mean,
And
Stephen,
have
I
nothing.
know
Weird.
people like to criticise the Hobbit trilogy, says it was overstretched and it was too much
Yeah.
filler. I personally liked what it did with
Yeah, I
it. It's a
liked
very
it, yeah.
short story. It's a children's novel. And it's a lot shorter than the Lord of the Rings individual novels and story. So for him to make a trilogy and to expand out like so, God, what's he called again? The fucking blank in the actor's name as well. Welsh guy, Bard.
Mm.
Was it Bard the Dragon Slayer?
Mm.
Or Bard or something? I'm fucking terrible. I'm having a
Bard,
bear tonight. Need to remember all the names. I may have remembered the name.
Luke Evans.
Luke
yeah.
Evans, yeah.
Yeah.
Taking his character and giving him a bigger role in the films. I was about to say story, but it's not a
Film.
story. The film, and then really expanding out because Gandalf disappears in the novel. It's
Yep.
very much Bilbo focused. Him and the dwarfs going to the Lonely Mountain, fighting Smog, regaining that sort of
It's the same
throne
with
and
films, to be
riches.
fair, yeah.
Gandalf disappears off story. He's not in the novel. You don't know what he's up to, and then he comes back at the end for
Yeah.
the Battle of the Five Armies. For him to take that and actually explore where Gandalf was going, that was actually brilliant because it took us off and it filled in the blanks in your mind of what he was up to, what he was doing, chasing the sort of necromancer out of Dol Guldur, I think it was, or Goldor, I can't remember, Dol Guldur in Muttwood. It was fucking great
Yeah.
to see that explored. That's why he should have been involved in the Rings of Power because it's set way before, and I think the second age. You've got new characters getting introduced that aren't in this actual novel because they've not got the full rights, and again, Tolkien estate are very protective. What better guy to make creative choices and bring in new characters than Peter Jackson? I thought he'd done a brilliant job of fleshing out The Hobbit. People don't like them as much. I think they're fucking great films, personally.
I think a lot of people didn't like the format they were shot in. I think it was a different
It was like TV.
format. I don't know, millimeter, whatever it was.
It was
or something.
weird. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
liked it. I did. I really enjoyed it, John. In fact, I think we went to see Smog in the cinema. Did we not?
I can't remember. Did I ever see The
Smaug.
Hobbit?
I think we
I think
did
we
see.
did.
I think we went to see that in the cinema. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure we did. The middle part, yeah.
Yeah. Well, they
Yeah.
were good films. I
Yeah.
enjoyed them. I liked the casting. I thought tonally they were brilliant. And again,
Benedict, yeah.
he'd done a brilliant job of playing out this story.
Yeah.
In sort of cinematic form, just like he did with the Lord of the Rings story before it. I just think he's the master when it comes to this literary work being adapted to film. No one does it better. And it's why ultimately, if he wasn't involved in these films, I wouldn't even entertain watching them. So now he's a producer, and Andy Serkis, you've got that continuity, second unit director on the Hobbit films. I'm now interested. I love Andy anyway. I'd been interested no matter what. But Peter Jackson should have been involved in the Rings of Power as well. But I think we know why that happened, Stephen. Because he wanted to go off and do a completely different kind of story, introducing different kind of more diverse characters. It caused a lot of storm. There's a lot of furore over Black Elves and all this shit. And I get it. People are very, very tied to Tolkien's work and they want it to be authentic to what he did. But ultimately, it's a new diverse world we live in, and you've got to go with the fucking times.
Yeah. I don't think that
They
was
made
my
their
issue
choice.
with it, John.
No, it was boring,
I
Steve.
know it certainly wasn't yours. It was just that I think it was a pacing thing with me more than anything. It was. I think I got to about the 5th episode and I went, I can't do this
boring.
anymore. It's too long and winded for me.
And the characters they did introduce into the story that weren't original, they just weren't. You can tell they're not fleshed out as much as the actual authentic characters. My dog's snoring here.
That's more of my issue than anything. It's a personal thing.
Game of Thrones is the same. As soon as you lose the
What was
novels,
the Henry
just
Cavill thing? It was on Netflix. I
The
watched
Witcher.
Watched 3 episodes. I can't watch this any longer. It's so boring. You know, that's just me though.
But I think if you put Peter Jackson, we're going off piste here, into the Rings of Power, then a lot of those issues would have been sorted obviously you'd still have diverse cast, and that's absolutely fine. I've spoken many times about this. The old Disney films bring them into the new era.
Yeah.
It's not 78 years ago where everyone was fucking Casper the Ghost White. But we've got a more diverse, and thank God, because I wouldn't be here if we didn't, because my great-great-grandmother's from India.
Yeah.
So we've got a more multicultural world now, and that has to be reflected in projects. But I think Peter Jackson would have handled it better. The characters would have had more importance. They'd have been more fleshed out, because he's just got the gift for adapting this story. In terms of the other story, I don't know what the fuck's going on in the other film, Stephen, but in short, I want Gandalf. I'm glad Gandalf's coming back. It simply has to be Ian McKellen. He has to appear. You can't recast and have a connection to Andy Serkis's Gollum. It ain't going to work. And you're going to have to get Viggo Mortensen back. So if they get those two
Is
back
there
with
anything that they'd
Serkis...
have to... was there anything... I can't remember. My memory's not served me well here at all, but in terms of the Lord of the Rings trilogy, cinematically, John, was there anything in that would be used in this new film in terms of storytelling? Because it's one of the things that bugged me about The Hobbit was obviously we saw flashbacks of Bilbo, obviously Ian Holm de-aged, and it looked weird. And I always wanted to, and I know people don't like when this happens, interfering with artistic license, etc., inserting the Martin Freeman stuff into the Lord of the Rings. I get people don't like that. I wouldn't mind it. It wouldn't offend me in any way. I just think for continuity and keeping things consistent, I don't think it would change much in terms of, it wouldn't ruin it for me.
So Hayden Christensen at the end of Star Wars, it just makes sense now you've got the prequels.
Yeah, I know that bugs people, but would you like to, is there anything in the original trilogy that...
I think maybe the stuff with Bilbo and the ring at the start, and also it's that touching on the ring and knowing that it's got these weird properties. He goes invisible, he's able to do this and whatnot. That discovery, and then going off and reverse engineering the journey of the ring, and then happening upon Gollum and whatnot, and obviously going to Mordor and finding out and then coming back, knowing that the Nazgûl are coming. All that stuff, it could maybe fit that in some way at the start.
Is the Gollum stuff, it's on a lake, isn't it? They're on a boat. Is that in Return of the King? It's in the second or the third film, that isn't it? They don't reveal that sort of flashback till one of the later films.
Is that the Smeagol stuff?
Yeah, the Smeagol stuff, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the second, potentially.
Is it second?
Is that the third?
My memory's not serving me well at all. I've not seen him in a long time, 4 or 5 years.
Maybe the
now.
third, because it may have been when he was... I can't remember. You know that? I can't... Yeah. It was the third, wasn't it? Because he was talking to Faramir. Right. I think, was he talking to Faramir? Am I thinking about... Was Gilly Faramir, Frodo, talking to him?
Is this when they were captive?
They were in the sort of cave overlooking the lake.
Yeah.
I'm sure if that's in the film now, I'm getting the books hooked up. I think they were in this Gilly, if I'm sure, in the film. And they may have told him about Smeagol and whatnot. I don't know. I can't fucking remember.
Yeah, I know it's not in the first movie, but I wasn't sure if it was in the second or third one. But it's those parts of the film I really enjoy. Those parts that sort of give you the depth and the backstory of these characters we've been watching and how they ended up where they're at that moment in time. And I was just interested to see if there was anything perhaps maybe in those original films that connect with this new film at all. Obviously there is, it's part of the same story, but in terms of like for like, if you know what I mean.
I'm just reading the article here, and he doesn't seem to be boo-hooing it. He seems to be interested. He does want to come back and play the character. The script's not written yet. They do have to get their skates on if they want to use Ian, because he's not getting any younger in time. Waits for no man. But I'm well up for this film, Stephen. Andy Serkis, that's one of the iconic performances, and it really set him on the path to where he is now as the sort of king of mocap. Gave us the likes of the Caesar performance in the Planet of the Apes films. He's a unbelievable
phenomenal
actor, man, director, writer. So having him involved again, getting to flex his muscles, just humanising maybe more the Gollum character, because he's renowned for being this little scrawny misfit that's trying to murder. But there's a sort of, not humanised, but hobbitized. Because there's like a sort of kind of hobbit, isn't he? There's a story there where he was maybe a different person. You can get into the psyche of that character, and also the torture that takes him to where he is. It's going to be a really interesting concept to see it done. Also, he has to skulk about as well. He's trying to evade capture, but he keeps getting drawn to Mordor, and then finally gets captured. May even do it from his perspective. It could be so cool the way that there's so many possibilities, man. Multi perspectives. They're hunting him down. He's just evading them. It's a cool concept.
Yeah,
I'm really looking forward to
a lot
seeing.
of potential, John. I'm looking forward to it as well. And certainly, I know that you and I will be in the cinema to watch this when it is released. When it may be, could be a few years from now if they've not even got a script in place yet. But
wasn't even in the right screen the entire time we were doing that there. We're in it now though.
I think though, John, because it is obviously working off the source material, I don't think a script will be too far away in terms of it's not something that's going to take years to sort of put together or anything like that. Wingnut Productions are a talented bunch. I'm sure they'll get it right.
I don't want fucking Legolas and all that in it though. They have to
just
cut with that.
Yeah, that was one of the sort of faults of the Hobbit.
I mean, he was there. He was part of the Wood Elf sort of.
It's the name drop, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Obviously, they continually did that just to sort of link it. They didn't have to do that. It was linked. You know, Gandalf's enough. Yeah, that's the link
just
there.
Gandalf and Aragorn and we're cooking.
Yeah, I mean, they even shoehorned. I'm blanking on Bilbo's the actor.
Bilbo.
Ian Holm. Not Bilbo.
Frodo.
Frodo, yeah.
Yeah. Fucking hell. I'm thinking his name now as well.
Yeah, I can
Shocking.
See. Yeah, I can't remember his name. That's terrible.
Holy fuck.
Yeah. But I mean, the point is,
Elijah
John,
Wood. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I know. I kept thinking Daniel Radcliffe.
He looks like, yeah, he does.
I don't know why.
I can't get told I looked like Elijah Wood. I fucking don't. I've not got his hair. I wish I had his hair, by the way.
I see someone commented Professor X the other day.
Yeah. I've had James McAvoy a lot.
Well, that is James McAvoy. I
don't
think it's Patrick Stewart referred to.
I've been told many times I look like James McAvoy.
You do?
When I had hair back in the day, I looked even more like him. But yeah, he even sound the same as him. Someone told me, but I'm not him. I wish I was him, because I'd have more fucking money.
Yeah,
I'm not him.
You're
fucking shut up about it. It's weird.
But anyway, we're going to move on, John. But before we do, folks, if you get anything to say in terms of obviously this new potential Lord of the Rings movie, produced by Peter Jackson and directed by Andy Serkis, and potentially starring Ian McKellen, hopefully. Just drop a comment into our comment section. We will read and we will reply. We're going to move on though to our next topic, and it's all about Ahsoka Season 2 and why it has taken so long to make and what it means for the future of Star Wars. It appears that Ahsoka Season 2 may not be released until at least 3 years after the first season. This delay has significant implications for the future of Star Wars. The franchise holds immense value for Disney Plus, with The Mandalorian initially serving as its flagship show. Since then, we've seen a steady stream of new series. Through their quality has varied. Even The Mandalorian had a stumble with its third season. Totally agree. Disney has recently confirmed that Marvel will now produce no more than 2 shows a year to avoid diluting the MCU's brand. Should have done that from the start. I had assumed that Lucasfilm would adopt a similar strategy for its live-action TV shows, with Ahsoka Season 2 being the only confirmed show in early development, starting production soon. However, the latest update suggests otherwise. It now seems that Andor Season 2 might be the last live-action Star Wars series for a while. So what's the situation with Ahsoka Season 2 and what does it mean for the future of Star Wars? What does it mean? What does it mean, folks?
I don't know. What does it mean? I think, Stephen, it's right. I've got his name in front of me and I'm still saying it wrong. Fucking hell. I think it's Ryan Stevenson.
Why?
That's a football player, John, that played for Hearts.
Yeah.
That's not Ray Stevenson. I think that's why it's been delayed. We lost Ray Stevenson. There's obviously Balen Skull. He was a massive part of that show. He was what drew me to the show in the last part was not so much about Ahsoka and even the Sabine character and stuff like that. It was more Balen. There was a sort of charisma and screen presence when this guy was on the screen that just drew me to the show. I was fascinated by the character, his sheer size in him, and obviously his power and the stuff he was doing in terms of manipulation, even his fucking sort of apprentice as well. Shin Hati, that was the name of the character. Kind of weird looking Finnish Ukrainian actress.
She looked absolutely crazy.
She looked mental. Yeah. She looked like a sort of punk, 80s punk fucking rocker or something with the haircut and whatnot. Yeah. But he was a large part of what drew me to the actual TV show. And obviously where they were going with him, he was sort of staying on that planet and that was another galaxy, wasn't it? They went to find Thrawn at the end.
Yeah.
And with him passing away, obviously, we've lost that presence, and you have to recast that very carefully. If you've not recast that properly, you've lost a huge part of what made the show entertaining for me, and I'm sure a whole lot of other people. And I mean, Ahsoka's a great character. Rosario does a brilliant job with the character. There's a whole host of other interesting faces in there. But there was a real, I don't know, mystery with this character, what his plan was. And when you lose that actor and you have to recast, I think that's why. I think that's why it's been delayed. I don't think there's anything really deep or complicated about this. I just having to cast this guy with someone of a similar standard.
Season was out, wasn't it? It was last, yeah.
I mean, how do you even begin to recast this guy?
Well,
Who do you pick?
It's unfortunate, John. It's very sad, obviously, for the actor and his family, first and foremost. And he was such an integral part of that story. And that introduction to that character as well, I was very much like yourself, drawn to Balin Skull. And what is this guy? Where's he come from? I don't know anything about this guy. Obviously, people that obviously invest in other sort of Star Wars platforms will know this more than me. But in terms of Ray Stevenson and his presence and his just his sort of presence, connection to these other characters as well, and his relationship with them was very intriguing, you know, and it was just such a sad loss. I think he actually passed away before the series was released as well. So I think you're right. I think it's got a lot to do with obviously the actor passing away and what did they do, because they have to address it, and a recast sadly is what it's going to be, but it's who's going. We just talked about this previously, John, obviously with Gandalf and recasting and who could take that role on. Maybe not so much in the same sort of level, because he's a new character to live action. He's a new character, a new sort of actor coming into Star Wars as well at that point. But they're going to have to address it. They're going to have to recast. They can't shy away and just forget about this character, because I think, if my memory serves me well, I think the last episode was sort of hinting that we were going to get some sort of backstory to this character in season 2 and where he came from.
There was some weird energy that he was connected to in that place. Also, I think it was Dathomir witches or something, or strange witches that were there.
Those kind of mountain. Was it mountains or cliffs? I can't remember.
Cliffs, mountains, and then also you had that sort of. I can never say that word. Citadel. I always butcher that word. It's not a word I use a lot in everyday language. But also the Star Destroyer comes down into that. Yeah. He was drawn to that planet. He had no intention of getting back with Thrawn. He had a purpose there. Yep. And sadly, we're not going to get to see, obviously, Ray realising that purpose is Balin, but we're going to get someone else to realise it. And I just feel like the casting is going to be so important. Yep. People are saying there's nothing in that performance that no other great actor could do. But it's not just about great, fuck Russell Crowe.
Bernard Hill sadly passed away, John, but even before you clicked on that, he was the guy that I was thinking of. Yeah. It has to be someone. Was he? Well, no, not
it's
really.
Not like 6'3".
But in terms of presence, in terms of stature as an actor, it has to be someone like him. Yeah. It has to be someone that can carry that character, because it's been built up so much. It's going to be very underwhelming if they get someone with less calibre in acting to play this role.
Jeffrey Dean Morgan, no.
He's
a good actor, but he's just never.
John Reno. Nah.
Liev Schreiber. I mean, someone said that, but I don't think
he's a good actor, but I don't know. Has
he got that range to be able to play that kind of character? Kurt Russell, fuck no.
It's too familiar, his face.
No.
I just see Kurt Russell, even though Santa Claus
I'm genuinely, even in that image here, Stephen, I'm seeing Russell Crowe and I'm thinking that's definitely a possibility. I really am.
We talk about familiar faces. Russell Crowe's got one of the most famous faces.
Unbelievable actor. I mean, I always go back every now and then to that shot where he talks about Ridley Scott on the set of Gladiator and how they were just the perfect match for each other. He told him something about looking at a bird landing in the aftermath of the battle, I think at the start of Gladiator, and how he used to just give it a look and something, and he just told him he'd go into the moment, he acted it, and he's like, we're going to work fucking great together. It was just the way he delivered it. There's something about this guy, it's just unbelievable. I've always loved Russell as an actor. John, and his energy as a man, he just does not give a shit.
What do you think about Disney's, or Marvel, I should say,
McTavish is a shout.
Have confirmed they're going to just be doing 2 shows per year to obviously avoid diluting the brand.
I'm all for that.
Yeah, I mean, this is something they should have done from the very beginning. They did start off that way, as I recall. I think it was perhaps maybe WandaVision, and then I think, did we get, what came after WandaVision?
Falcon and the Winter Soldier, yeah.
And then there was a bit of a gap, and then it was...
maybe Loki.
I think it was Loki after that, yeah. But there was a bit of a gap. I think it was only 2 per year at that
Hawkeye
point.
as well. Came
Hawkeye
not
came
long
out,
after.
it was at the end of that year,
It was like December, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that was all right, Steve,
Yeah.
when you had high caliber actors and interesting characters. You're kind of coming hot on the heels off of the Infinity Saga, but it lost momentum quickly.
Yeah.
And there's just, you need to...
I can tell you the point it lost it. It was
Yeah.
Doctor Strange too.
Absolutely. Because they were building this whole
Yeah.
multiverse
I had
stuff up.
concerns about the multiverse, John.
Yeah,
I
you
said
did,
that.
to be fair. You
I said
were
this is
ahead
going to
of the
be
curve.
it's absolutely going to be a cluster of a thing if they don't get this right, and they didn't get it right.
Yeah. You have to be really careful with that kind of stuff, how you're using cameos. It can't just be superfluous shit brought in to appease the fans. There has to be real purpose to
There has to be
multiversal
stakes.
stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there can't be stakes if you can just go, well, we'll bring in another version of him from another.
Yeah.
Fuck off.
That's why I'm glad they've not brought back like a Tony Stark or a fucking Steve Rogers, because you just simply can't bring characters of that magnitude back. But they lost momentum, and then it just went to shit. And the stuff they were putting out was just, it was too convoluted. There was ulterior motives in there as well with some of the stories they were trying to present to people. They were force feeding people politics, and I keep saying it. I'm into politics, but not everyone's into politics, and not everyone wants modern day shit injected into their entertainment. Most people go to a theatre or sit down to watch a TV show to get away from real life. They want escapism. They want to forget about the fucking bullshit and all the nonsense. They just want to live vicariously through these sort of characters and the stories. And if you keep force feeding them, it's taking them out.
Yeah.
They lose connection. You lose connection with something like the MCU or Star Wars, you're fucked after that, because it's all about fan interaction and being connected in the hardcore fan base. You can't be splitting them down the middle.
Serving your audience. That's
Yeah,
what
you've
you've got to do.
serve the audience. Exactly, Stephen.
That's
You've
the
got to do
purpose
it.
of entertainment.
And Star Wars in particular have alienated half the audience. You can say rightly or wrongly, you can talk about why they've been alienated, but they've alienated the audience, and you're absolutely goosed. You're getting no chance of making north of $1 billion in movies unless it's something unbelievably special out of nowhere, because half the fan base are disengaged. They don't want anything to do with it. So this is the right choice for sure for Star Wars and Marvel. We go back to low output, high quality output, and try and get people back inside again, because that's the only way you're going to have success. The best Marvel stuff was the early days, but it was simple storytelling, and they were connecting the dots in the post credits. They weren't force feeding you shit in every second fucking month of the year.
But the best Star Wars stuff was always connected to the original trilogy.
Absolutely, yeah.
And not far off it.
That's a problem Star Wars has got though, Stephen.
Yeah, it has to work its way out.
I mean, you have to get out of that rut. Keep getting back
But
to the Skywalker saga.
They tried it, John. They tried it with that latest series, going 100 years before the Phantom Menace. And there was no. I get what they're trying to do in terms of trying to connect it with perhaps maybe Plagius. I think appeared. I've not seen it, so and obviously
cancelled now.
and it just doesn't work. It's that's fan service. That's we're losing ratings here. Throw in something that they'll like and see if we can get them back on side. And it doesn't work. But Andor's connected directly to the original trilogy. Ahsoka to an extent, obviously through animated stuff from the
and
prequels,
Rebels,
in between
right into
prequels
that
and Rebels,
timeline.
and so it's all connected to that original sort of period, and it's where they go if they're going to commit to 2 series per year, whatever it may be. I think we're going to get Andor, and then I think there might be a break, and then we'll get Ahsoka. What comes after that? Because the Mandalorian's done.
Yeah, is it though? I was going to ask that question. What's going on with the Mandalorian? Are we getting another season before this film, or is it right into the film?
I think it'll be right into the film, John.
Because I was going to talk about that, the importance of Ahsoka and why it's so important to Star Wars. It says it there, the future of Star Wars. It is important because they have to get this out, because this is all interconnected with the TV universe. Have been building through the Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett to an extent. They're all interconnected, and ultimately you're needing all those characters plus another few big hitters to take down a Thrawn. I genuinely think you need Luke Skywalker to appear again to be able to take Thrawn down. He's that big and that powerful a villain. He's so intelligent. You literally needed Luke in the Thrawn duology to fucking defeat Thrawn. He was so powerful. He had these anti-force things going on, these creatures that cancelled out the force. Yeah. Luke struggled with Thrawn, and Luke was a Jedi Master.
Yeah.
After the original trilogy and the expanded universe, none of these characters, apart from Ahsoka, are anywhere near. I'm looking at this fly, anywhere near is sort of, I don't know, gifted in the force.
John,
so how do you defeat Thrawn?
Well, I was going to ask your you're Catherine Kennedy, right? I don't know if she'll be in it this long to be in this scenario. Hot off the heels of the Acolyte and the reception that got from the fan base, another flop, another announcement that this film is not working now. That's not happening. We're not getting Ryan Johnson. We're not getting Ray Skywalker. We're not getting.
her. No.
I don't know. I'm not saying.
I feel for her. By the way,
I just feel that's going to be the next announcement. It's good. They don't know what they're doing. This is the problem. What is the next stage after Andor and Ahsoka's? What are they doing? Are they doing the film after that?
Yeah, it's got to be the Mangold film, hasn't it? It's got to be the Mandalorian film because it's the one consistent, good sort of thing they've put out in terms of.
I think they're afraid, John. I really do think Lucasfilm are afraid in terms of where they're going with web series. I don't think after the Acolyte, I don't know what they're going to do. We know we're getting Andor season 2. That's almost done, I think.
We're still getting the Lando TV show with Donald Glover.
It's all went quiet. This is the thing. When they do announce things, you take it with a pinch of salt. It's not a way to run a studio.
Is it not Donald and his brother who were writing? Donald's now doing a sort of farewell thing.
I hope
with
it happens.
Gambino.
I really do hope it happens because I love the character Lando.
Yeah.
I love Donald Glover. I love what he did in the Solo film. In fact, I liked Solo as a film. I thought it was an okay film. But I want to see more of that. But again, they announce things, they cancel things. They announce things, they cancel things. I just think it's a bad way of treating your fans, first and foremost. And it's, if you've not got a plan in place, it's just going to... They've not learnt from that that sequel trilogy, where if they've not got a plan in place, it's going to be an absolute shit show. And they're doing exactly the same with their web series. Because I don't think they're going to branch out and do something like The Acolyte again.
But they have to, though. You're saying that you think they're potentially scared or afraid to make a film or something or another TV show. They have to have bravery, and that's ultimately why you need to get rid of Kathleen Kennedy, because she's not Star Wars minded. I don't know what possessed George to hand the baton over to her. There was so many other people involved who could have done it, who actually understand it. Filoni, Favreau, they are guys that understand Star Wars, because they're Star Wars fans that grew up with it, proper Star Wars fans. They understand what makes Star Wars tick and what makes a Star Wars fan excited, and that's what you need. You need guys like that who are going to be brave and produce content.
What do you think goes through George Lucas's head right now?
I think he gives a shit, Steve.
Yeah.
I think he's quite happy to be rid of it. I think he was utterly fed up with Star Wars fandom, constantly criticising them every time he produced something, saying it's not as good as the original trilogy, it's not as good as the original trilogy, this is sacrilege, it's shit. Why are you putting Jar Jar Binks in there? Why are you not Cowtown?
He's key to all this.
Yeah, I know, but why are you not doing everything for us older people? Well, it was never about older people. Yeah. Star Wars, when it came out in the 70s, was a fucking space opera with
for kids.
Walking dog. It was for fucking children.
Me.
People like you, Steve. When I grew up in the 90s, I watched Star Wars as a kid. Loved it. It stayed with me into my adult years.
And the prequels, John.
And the prequels, they were my era. And I still have a respect. I was actually thinking about Count Dooku. Theme music, leaving Geonosis, going back to Coruscant. One of the best bits of music John Williams has ever fucking produced, and I'll die on that hill. I'm telling you right now that it's unbelievable music. So the prequels still have some sort of place in my heart, even though they're nowhere near as good as the original.
Darth Tyrannus,
But I don't think he cares, Stephen. I think he's glad to see the back of it. I think he was fed up with people criticising him all the time, and now they've got an even worse sort of caretaker for the franchise. And he's probably laughing into his billions and saying, get it right up every single one of those fucking haters. I'm rich. I've got the Star Wars you wanted now. Get it round, jeez. Is it shit? Tough titty. I'm not coming back. So there you go. I'm
on the Skywalker Ranch, living my life with my family.
And quite right.
Yeah.
He deserves his break.
Making the kind of films he wants to make, isn't it? It's those independent ones he went back to.
Deserves his break. He deserves it. He earned it.
Well, he's retired.
He gave us all this.
I don't know if he's officially retired, but certainly he's living the life that he should and deserves.
But the final thing I'd say about Star Wars, Stephen, is the issue they've got is that they are just limited to those original trilogy movies being the most successful. They are the gold standard. I mean, you've got a gold standard that came out 40 years ago, and everything you've released since is not at that level. You've got a fucking problem. And they've not got the source material that DC or Marvel have got, where you can go in and have an array of different characters going back 60, 70, 80 years to go and adapt to a TV show or a film. They ain't got that in Star Wars. They're having to create new ones. And there's not enough brilliant minds out there that are radical and original in their thinking that are going to give you radical and original and high quality TV shows. We've got too many absolute airheads who want to thrust political sort of motivated stuff into the entertainment side of things. And it's all got an agenda and it's just shite.
Yeah, there's no care involved. That's the problem, John.
It's rubbish.
There's no love or passion for it. It's a box ticking exercise for a lot of these
Star
people.
Wars never ever had space. Sort of lesbian space witches. That was not something that was in Star Wars. And Mark Hamill says it time and again, if you want Luke to be a gay character, he's gay for you. Absolutely fine. You make it up in your head. It doesn't have to be projected right
so
into you. Like
literal,
it's like it doesn't have to be a literal thing that's spoken in the film. You can make the character what you want. It's an open book. You can do anything you want with the character in your mind. But when they start thrusting all this nonsense in, it's just unnecessary. It really is unnecessary. We don't need to know the sexuality of these characters. It's kid-friendly stories first and foremost.
Yeah, I mean, if you want them to stink a pish on Act 2, it's up to you.
That's my sister.
Yeah. That's what you
It's
think.
sitting in the theatre.
Yeah.
Fucking epic moment. Luke Skywalker finally back in the screen for the first time in 30, 40 years, 30 odd years. I bet he's stinking a pish. Thanks for that. You've ruined the moment. And then JJ ruined the moment like 2 minutes later.
Yeah.
By fucking, yeah, exactly.
That's what we're going to do with this topic. But if you've got anything to say in terms of Ahsoka or any of the Lucasfilm brands coming to Disney Plus or the cinema, let us know in the comment section, folks. We'll certainly reply and react to those comments. We're going to move on to our final topic, though, John. It's all about the Toronto Film Festival to shine a spotlight on Indian cinema.
As I've called it,
major
TIFF.
push. Yeah, TIFF. The Toronto International Film Festival is making a significant push to highlight Indian cinema. The festival has enlisted Meenakshi Shed, a programming advisor based in India, to curate films. This collaboration ensures TIFF benefits from a deeper connection with the Indian film industry, although the final selections will be made by Robin Citizen, TIFF's director of programming. This year's the 49th edition of TIFF will showcase 5 films from India, including the world premieres of Superboys of Maligaon, directed by Rima Kaji, and Bunj. I'm not really sure how to say that.
Boong.
Apologise. The first Manipuri project to be featured at TIFF, directed by Lakshmipriya Devi. So, John, I hope I said that right. I always feel I butcher a lot of the language,
I
but
do it as well, to be fair.
this is something that we I think we
I've
covered.
actually learned a new language.
Yeah.
Manipuri. Tibetan, Burman language of Northeast India. Wow.
Yeah, there you are. Didn't know.
Literally learnt something today.
John, we've talked about TIFF in the past, and I think it was round about the time Triple R came out. I think we did a show on that, because I remember doing a thumbnail, and you were mightily impressed by the thumbnail. I thought
It was very good.
I thought it was garbage.
Yeah, no, it was good. Yeah, it
But,
was Rajamouli, wasn't it?
yeah.
In front of the sign. It looked real.
Yeah, the two of them were dancing as
Yeah.
well. The two main
I liked that. It was good.
characters
Good
from
thumbnail.
Triple R. But I think it was clipped. But like this will be. But what's your thoughts on this, John? I always thought this was something they should have done. I think we perhaps they've stole this idea from us. That's what I'm saying. We had this idea, obviously, having an Indian representative at these film festivals to advise and perhaps maybe direct the committees of these film festivals to see these films. Now, we've watched quite a few films this year that we think are good enough. Certainly for
12 Fail was.
12 Fail was.
I mean, that's an Oscar caliber film for me.
Yeah,
It really is.
Yep.
Whether it gets presented for nomination is another thing entirely. But for me, that's an Oscar caliber film. It's that fucking good. Very human story, indefatigability of human nature. Also, just the end and everything, just really well acted as well.
John, I would even put La Pata Ladies in there as well.
Yeah, that was right up there.
Phenomenal film.
Really, really good film. There's
Phenomenal.
some high quality stuff coming out of India, both TV and film. We've been watching a ton. I mean, Stephen, I keep saying it, man. Sacred Games is one of the greatest TV shows I've ever watched. It really is unbelievable.
Yeah, I have to watch that again.
Caliber of writing, the characters, the timeline, multi-timeline stuff, and the way they leave it open-ended. It's like a
casting was
Tarantino, fucking not
fantastic.
Tarantino, a Nolan-esque end
Yeah.
where you're left to interpretation. Ambiguous endings, I like them.
Yeah.
And that did that. So there's some unbelievable content coming from India. And it's about time the West was waking up to it, and these big film festivals are waking up to it and getting people there to present it in the best way possible. As you see there, Superboys of Malagone is the gala presentation at this year's festival, which is for mainstream crowd pleasers. He says, we understand there's a real audience here for star-driven Indian films. There is,
John.
because we're the audience.
But what I find happens time and time again is that a film will come out of India that the West will latch on to, give it good buzz, and then after it's run its course, they forget about it, and then you don't hear anything until the next big buzz comes along. They need someone, they need a representative in these festivals who are going to say 5 films or whatever it may be. These are the 5 films this year I think should qualify, and obviously do your thing, watch them, see what you think. They need someone, they need a voice, and I think this is the perhaps maybe the first steps of achieving that. And not just India, I'm talking about films, Korean films, Japanese films, whatever.
I think Korea and Japan have had that widely respected. So they've got that seal of approval from all over the world. Everyone knows what Korea is producing. They know for a long time what Japan's also producing. One of the great, forget his name, as a Japanese director, widely regarded as one of the greatest directors ever. So they've always had that appreciation from all over the planet. I think with India, and it's not deserved, but a lot of people still think, when they think of Indian cinema in the West in particular, they think of these like 70s action films where it's over the top and there's like people getting through into space and whatnot, and the crudely cut stuff.
Zoom shots,
zoom shots, crudely cut stuff, and the effects are really hammy. They still think of that, and that's not Indian cinema. I mean, we've watched some old stuff, and it's a telepathy going back to 1991, black and white. And it had moments like that, if I remember correctly, but it's very story driven even back then. So it doesn't mean it's a bad film, but they've come on leaps and bounds, man. Technically and visually, it's just,
I think, John, you
indecipherable.
You
from
mentioned that there,
stuff.
in terms of storytelling, that's never been the issue. We've watched films from 30, 35 years ago. Stories were never obviously the issue. I think particularly perhaps maybe in southern Indian cinema, where the money wasn't there at the time, and some of the films, and we've admittedly said, we've watched a film from 1992 that looked like it perhaps the quality of it looks like it's from the 1970s.
Yeah.
So, and I don't mean that in a bad way or anything like that. It's just an observation.
It's just not the
but it's a comparison to see where southern Indian cinema is now in terms of technical advances. And we see it across the board, not just obviously in the south, but across the board in India. Storytelling has always been phenomenal. And those 2 films we just mentioned there, 12 Fail and Lapata Ladies, the storytelling in those 2 films was some of the best stories that I've witnessed in cinema in my life, not just over this year.
But it's not just even going back. Super Deluxe and Azurin, I think it was Azurin, the one with Dinush. Just some unbelievable stories. 96, there's unbelievable films come out that have not had the recognition they deserve, and if they were coming from Korea or something, they would have got the recognition.
Yeah.
And they're fantastic films with brilliant actors and brilliant directors, and even fucking Lokesh Kanagaraj. I guarantee there's not one person out with a very small sample size over in the West that even know of Lokesh Kanagaraj, and he's one of the best composers on the planet just now. Just his ability to find catchy music and just put music to a screen, but not just music to the screen in terms of scenes, but just the actual songs. His ability to create songs, he's right up there with the very, very best on the planet, and not a huge amount of people know him. So I think really this is important, and I hope it's a decisive moment for Western sort of knowledge of Indian cinema. They can break through this sort of glass ceiling and get more eyeballs on Indian content, because there's some brilliant stuff. Really, really good stuff. And sadly, there's a lot of ignorance when it comes to India. And a lot of people not willing to give it the time. We've seen big channels over here moaning because there's 5 minutes of an intro. And then they get bored and walk away, and they're not given a brilliant film with Triple R the time of day. You've got to be patient and respect other cultures and how they do things.
John, we saw it in KGF, our first sort of introduction
to frenetic.
How frenetic the editing was, and really just getting used to musicals within films, action films, serious stuff going on, and then they throw a musical in. But I think just You've got to give it time. You've got to give it patience. You've got to condition yourself into that medium, not the other way around. They shouldn't be suiting you. You have to meet them halfway.
Yeah.
You know, and from a Western perspective, and I think, it doesn't even come into our heads now when we watch a film. We do notice though, and it's an observation, John, and I think a lot of people have agreed in our community that, you know, when there is a musical number within a film, it's never misplaced. It might seem a little bit off that, you know, this is a serious moment we've got in this film and in this, but there's a purpose, and you were good at observing that, John, and explaining that it's a way of storytelling.
Yeah, it's
as well.
condensing the story. Yeah.
It's
You
a
get
lot
45 minutes of storytelling
exposition,
in that 5-minute song and dance
it's
number.
very clever.
And Kaify, I think, with Telepathy was the best example. You met a woman, settled down, had a kid, and it was all condensed into a 5-minute song and dance number.
Yeah.
And then you can continue on with the story, and it doesn't sort of
It's
bog
so
it
clever,
down
yeah.
and destroy the tone and destroy the pacing. Really clever way to storytell. So, is that even the right word? Storytell? To tell a story. There you go, I'll do it the other way around. This fucking fly's doing my head in instantly. It's putting me off. You can just see it in my peripheral vision. And my peripheral vision is like a superpower. I'm like Spider-Man in reverse. I can see my spidey senses pick insects and spiders out at like 90-degree angles to my eyes.
Yeah.
But I digress. My only concern, Stephen, is I've looked up this person, Meenakshi Shetty.
Yeah.
Shetty, I don't know.
Critic, yeah.
But I mean, I was about to say my concern was she was based in Mumbai, and also that's the south of India. But I presume it's not just she's not just blinkered into sort of southern Indian stuff. I'd imagine she will be open-minded enough to present other
You would hope, yeah.
present other regions' films, because we know there's deep set sort of bias against other regions, the Tollywood stuff, Bollywood. But I'm already talking shit because one of the films that's been presented is an off-eastern fucking Manipuri film,
Yeah.
which I hadn't even heard of. So I've defeated my own argument. She's presenting films from the very northeast, bordering on Tibet.
Yeah,
So-
John, but some might say, if you've got that concern, which I know you've not now because you've read it, but there will be paranoia within India, I would imagine.
Mumbai
You know,
is in the south, isn't it? Am I talking shit?
I'm
I'm
not sure, John.
I may be committing there, and
But
it's right up and off.
I think you've made an interesting point. Though. It's west
It's up
coast.
fucking north. I'm talking
yeah,
shit. The
west.
complete opposite then.
Yeah.
Hope she's not. Well, that kind of. I'm going to go off on a tangent here again and say, hopefully she's not
Yeah, well,
biased then.
your point still stands. Yeah, it's the concern is
Yeah.
yeah. And I think a
Regional
lot
sort
of I think I
bias.
think that probably would be a concern for most Indians.
The
you
middle.
know. Yeah, the west. Yeah,
It's a vast fucking country, man. It really is. It's so
Incredible,
big.
yeah.
Subcontinent. I just sometimes love, I mean, I'm going off on a tangent here, just looking at maps of India and other countries and just.
Yeah.
I'm going to zoom into
Looking at-
this random place.
Look at the sat nav and you find a dog on the beach.
Yeah, exactly. That was all in. That was all down south. Yeah, they love their dogs. What the
It's
hell was
always
it?
golden retrievers, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
no,
Yeah.
there's a weird breed of dog in India that I've not seen in any other country on earth. Sort of weird, stray dog breed.
Mm.
I think Labradors are the most popular though, I'm pretty sure they are over in India. And who can blame them? They're the most popular here as well because they're the best fucking dogs. Come at me. But just zooming in like Bhopal, I mean, never heard of it. Massive big city. Love
Yeah.
doing that shit at times. But yeah, that's my one concern, that there's so much regional bias that you just get locked into presenting stuff from one region.
No, it
Then other
remains to
ones
be
get
seen.
overlooked.
It remains to be seen. We'll see. I suppose we'll see if we follow this story up, John, later on. But I'm just glad to see there is a representative in these festivals. I know it's just obviously the Toronto one at the moment, but
It's a big festival.
it's
though.
massive. It's one
Yeah.
of the biggest. It's probably, if not, some might say the biggest. I'm not sure. Cannes, obviously, is the
There
other
you
one.
go,
So it's-
Stephen. All we imagine is light
Yeah.
from direct to Payal. Won international accolades, capturing the Grand Prix at the Cannes Film Festival in May. So there you go. You've got a Hindi. No, not a Hindi. You've just got an Indian film that got the Grand Prix at the Cannes Film Festival. So I mean, it's proof for those ignorant people out there, if they don't know it, that there's just unbelievable content coming from India.
yeah, and you're missing it.
You're missing it because you think, it can't be that great. Indian stuff's crap. No, it's not. It's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
What are you doing with your life? These same people watch K-dramas, and I love K-dramas as well. I love Korea. It's an amazing country. And young. Soju, I love it. But India's every bit as good, believe me. And I'm glad to see it's getting some recognition, finally. We spoke about this with Triple R back in the day, Stephen. How we hoped it would act as a sort of conduit, a gateway
Yeah.
into more eyeballs seeing the brilliant content from India. And it seems like they are. bastards get out.
Yep.
Don't
Great
believe it.
escape, yeah.
Do not believe it. I'm going to kill this fly, and I'm a pacifist. I digress. Are we done?
I think we're done, yeah.
We're done. What's your thoughts on Ian McKellen coming out and speaking about Gandalf? Going to be appearing again in potentially two new Lord of the Rings movies.
He stinks a pish.
Gandalf? Nah. I reckon he's like a sort of... What cologne would Gandalf wear?
Yeah.
No, I reckon
I
he's a Tom Ford oud man. I've got some oud in there and I can't even wear it, Stephen. It's just so animalic. It is unbelievable. It smells like fucking... It smells like if you were in a field rocking about like a bull and it pissed up against a post and you're just getting the aroma of the bull. It's fucking...
That was so descriptive.
That's what it smells like. I'll literally spray it before you go. I'll spray it before
wow.
you go and you can smell it yourself. I mean, this is it's like a niche fragrance. It's worth like 150 fucking pounds for like 80 mil. Tom Ford, and it is just unwearable. Unwearable.
We live near a farm and we get those kind of smells anyway.
Tuscan leather as well. If you want to smell like an Italian leather sofa, knock yourself out. Again, bought it. Why did I buy it? Never going to wear it, ever. But I digress. Gandalf, he's more of a nude man, I reckon. Might be Brute. What's the Old Spice? Is that another one? Yeah, I don't think he stinks of piss. I think he probably stinks of cigar smoke or cigarette. He smoked, what did he? A pipe.
Herbs
pipe
and
smoke.
spices.
Herbs, spices and pipe. Yeah. With some gunpowder because he loves a good firework display. That's what I reckon. A classic thumbnail. But yeah, we're moving away. I don't know what Luke smelled of.
Sand.
The salt market. The fishmongers. Probably reeking of fish, but it's not fish, but it's fish. Some might say, what's the difference?
Green milk, yeah.
Yeah, green milk. Oh dear. What's your thoughts, Ian McKellen, though, coming out and speaking about Gandalf potentially appearing? The Hunt for Golem, the concept, Peter Jackson producing, Andy Serkis involved. Thoughts on that? Share your thoughts down below if you've got anything to say. Thoughts down below about Ahsoka being delayed potentially to next year. 2 series for Marvel and Star Wars moving forward. Per annum, I was about to say. Per year. I was going to say annum. I've had 5.5 hours sleep. I am fucking deprived of sleep. I've actually woken up in the last couple of hours. I've been dying all day. I've had a coffee and I was fucking dying. Actually dead on 5.5 hours of sleep. To the point where I went into a building and tried to speak and made an arse of it and literally says I'm sleep deprived.
And I sent the topics over and you're like, fuck off, Steve.
No, it's alright. I've came alive, Stephen. This is my time of the night. But yeah, Ahsoka. Share your thoughts down below about that. This fly's going to die. Thoughts on the Toronto Film Festival 2024. The TIFF Festival. They've got an Indian correspondent in to present Indian content films, 5 in particular, shortlisted for Western audiences, trying to act as a conduit to open up a sort of gateway to the Indian subcontinent, let more people see it. What's your thoughts on it? Share your thoughts down below if you've got anything to say about that. Anything at all we discussed on the show, share it down below in the comments section. Like the video if you've enjoyed it, subscribe to the channel on YouTube, hit the bell icon to get notifications straight to one's eyes for future content like this. Same thing over on Twitch, follow button, notifications button over there to see us doing the same thing on a completely different platform. All that's left to be said, this fly's definitely going to fucking die. It's flying into my eyeball. Try to end the show, fly, have some consideration, you fuck. Ega. S.H. Rajamouli. Bastards try to prick my eyeball. I've not wronged anyone. Fly shouldn't be coming for me. Until the next time, all that's left to be said is thank you once again for watching this, and bye-bye.